Yay, hey. All right, fantastic. We are finally in our breakout room. Thank you all very, very much for making the time in your busy schedules to come and join us. Your contributions by way of suggestions and recommendations for improving our electronics program here at Chabot College goes a long, long way to improve the learning experience for all of our students. So we very much thank you for your time. I'd like to begin with some acknowledgements of some of our individuals here. Let me take a quick peek. Yes, Professor Wayne Phillips. Wayne Phillips is Professor Emeritus here at Chabot College and has been my predecessor in this arena of being lead instructor for ESYS. So thank you very much for being here, Professor Phillips. Also, let's see, where is Norberto? Norberto, I know you're Mr. Professor Ruiz. Excellent. Also, former dean and also a lead instructor for electronics technology, very instrumental in the changing of and updating of certain aspects of our program and curriculum this past year. So thank you very much for your participation and time here with us. Nabil Alhamal, shout out to Nabil. Nabil is our very quiet in the background, but very important lab technician. So he's kind of the glue that helps hold things together when all chaos breaks out in the room for lab things not quite working 100%, not his fault, but things just happen. And so he just very quickly pulls things together. So thank you very much, Nabil. I want to make sure that we have a shout out to you. A shout out also to some new partners with us. The new partners with us are from a company called Skyworks, and our representatives from Skyworks would be Subish Soman. Wave at us, Subish. Yes, and there's Subish. And then also we have Mones Barakat. Mones, wave at us. Yes, excellent. And so they are our new partners in crime, so to speak. They have approached us this past week with a most outstanding opportunity, internships. And we will be talking about internships in just a little bit, but I wanted to acknowledge that they're here and that they're very much, their input for furthering this relationship is very much valued. And we will have those conversations in the latter part of our meeting together. With the acknowledgements, thank you all, everybody else for being here. Your input is highly, highly valued. We do have a bit of bookkeeping to take care of before we move on, and that is our minutes from last year. So some of you were here with us, some of you were not. So for those of you who are not, when the motion goes to request for, oops, I think there's I don't want to miss something here. Hold on one sec. David, okay, all right. When the motion goes forth to approve the minutes, some of you will vote. Most of you will probably do an abstain because this is your first time with us, and we really appreciate your time with us. Our meetings from a year ago were very fruitful indeed, in that we had a number of proposed changes, and let me just get right to that right here. These were the proposed changes, and happy to announce that our local curriculum committee had approved these changes. And not only has a local curriculum committee for Chabot College approved them, these have also been approved at the state level, and so they are formally being offered as of this semester. Moving forward, these are the 21 units that are part of the 60-unit degree program, and that's the most significant aspect of last year's minutes that I would take up our time in reviewing. So could I have a motion to approve last year's minutes, please?
Motion to approve.
Okay, okay, fantastic. We recognize Professor Ruiz for motion to approve, and that was Tess who seconded. Is that correct?
I think it was me, Linda.
Oh, Linda. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize the name. Thank you, Linda. Yes, for seconding. And so all in favor in the chat, please type aye. And Nabil will record that information in the chat. Let's see the chat. There's the chat. And those that are opposed, and those that abstain. So just type your responses in the chat, and that will be fine. So Nabil, do you have that information, my friend?
I do.
Fantastic. Okay, then we will leave the share screen, this share screen for right now. And let me bring you up to date on what's been happening for this year and how things are looking moving forward. Right here. Okay, do another share with you. And share this screen. Done. All right, fantastic. I won't play this video for you because I forwarded this video to you individually in previous emails, but we now have a video presence that promotes our program on the internet. This is my YouTube channel. It's about a 20-minute video, and we have this also linked to our Chabot College website, so anybody coming in to look at the ESYS program will also be able to get some depth and background as to what it is that we do. The highlights of what it is that we've been able to accomplish this past year is realized by this. Let me go ahead and stop this share. And we will do another share right here. This will be the last one. Let me find it. There we go. Cool. And share. Boom. All right. And in this particular share, you'll be able to see how our different job occupational categories stack up in the San Francisco Bay Area for electronics. Can you all see this share that shows our occupational information? Wave at me if you can. Great. All right, fantastic. And so we have electrical, electronics engineering technicians. We have electromechanical technicians, engineering technicians, AV technicians. We also have installers, repairers of the equipment for commercial and transportation and substations. And all of these, if we take a look at the percentages, are all in the positive, and some are very, very nice. So the outlook for our students moving into substantive careers that can sustain their families in the San Francisco Bay Area are looking really, really good. So let me stop this share. Okay, all right. And the next most exciting thing I wanted to share with you is the machine that's behind us. The machine that's behind us is the Fanuc Robot Arm. This came about as part of the recommendations from last year's advisory board meeting, and through the grace of luck and your comments of what it is that can be helpful, we've now added this into our curriculum for our students to benefit from. In addition to the training with this machine will also be an opportunity for certification. And can you imagine young people with a Fanuc robot certification that would be recognized worldwide as one more shingle that they can hang in front of their resume? So that is the most exciting piece of hardware that has come in. We've been very blessed with some wonderful machinery. So on my hit list of things for our advisory board discussion would be the agenda that I had sent out to each of you earlier today. And that agenda goes to show and we'd like to have a round table discussion of how you all as industry partners feel as to the value and validity of these different topics adding value to our program. First on this list are to acquire more Fanuc robot arms. I'd like to get a second one of these. If there's only one and one becomes temperamental, then boom, that shuts things down pretty quickly. So having a second one and having the additional training pendants would allow 4 separate teams on 2 robots to be able to be very productive in here. So is there a validation of that, or some affirmation that that would be beneficial to our program from the audience?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Rick, is this a thumbs up? Yes. Yes. Could we have a? Let's see. If you can just do a thumbs up, and then Nick and Nabil will go ahead and give us a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you discern that, Nabil? Looks like 1, 2, 3.
Looks like 9.
Okay. Cool. All right.
And approved.
Great. All right. Let's move on to the next agenda item. Thank you very much. One thing that I thought was very significant that we haven't seen here is an OSHA safety certification course. I'm on track to teach, I'm on track to take an OSHA certification course in the summer, in addition to teaching during the summer, and I'd like an opportunity to take that training into the classroom here at Chabot, where our students take a either half semester or some aspect of that's generally the amount of time that's necessary for OSHA safety certification. I'd like to bring that into curriculum for the benefit not only of ESYS, but also for other aspects of our advanced manufacturing team. So I think that having OSHA safety certification would be beneficial to all of our advanced manufacturing partners, our welding, machine tools, industrial technology, and then also automotive, any aspect of our hands-on training program, even into medical and dental, having OSHA training would be beneficial. So is that, do I have a consensus of opinion that that may be valuable to our audience? If so, give us a thumbs up, please. And Nabil will be counting the thumbs.
9.
9. Good, cool, thank you. Next on our list is.
Wait, there's a question.
Yes,
are
please.
Are you considering creating a new course?
Yes.
Okay. And would it be under industrial technology, or what rubric?
This would be, the plan is to put this in under the umbrella of advanced manufacturing. I'd like to keep it in ESYS.
So it'd be an ESYS course.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. The next on our list is I have vacuum and vapor deposition training. We have by the promotion of the concept by Professor Wayne Phillips. We have these machines, and I'd like to incorporate them into one of our courses that are in the curriculum, and as it has value, this plus the item number D, which is clean room training, these two kind of go hand in hand. So for our friends in the industry that deal with manufacturing chips, anything having to do with clean room technology, there's going to be vacuum systems involved. And what we'd like to do is at least be able to teach the students how low vacuum works, high vacuum works, and then to be able to do quality vapor deposition in those areas. So is that something that you all would agree would have some value to our curriculum and our student base? Thumbs up if you do, please.
Yes.
And Nabil will take the count.
It looks like 9.
Okay.
10.
10? Okay, 10. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next category is, I have it under mechatronics, really electromechanical training. And this goes to the very heart of some aspects of my concerns. When we walked through Casa Sanchez Foods, Linda Renteria and her team there were very, very gracious in hosting several field trips over the years of our ESYS and engineering students to Casa Sanchez Foods. And we were able to see various aspects of their machinery producing their various salsas and chips. And if you haven't had Casa Sanchez salsas and chips, you got to go to Safeway. You got to get some. In any case, what we saw there were a variety of technologies that could easily be supported by the various aspects of the training that we provide, except in this area. Yes, we do train on PLCs, which are programmable logic controllers, industrial computers rather, that control the assembly line. But what we don't have is a more in-depth training of the electromechanical process, what happens in this automation facility through the sensors, through the chain of events from this conveyor belt to that conveyor belt. So I'd like to see that enhanced. We do have some of that training in different parts of different courses, but I'd like to see that expanded under a more formal declaration of, and the most common, the most favorite word used to describe that is mechatronics. And so if you see that that would be a value to our local demographics for some mechatronics training to be included in our future curriculum, please give us a thumbs up on that, please.
Would this also include like like servo motors? And,
yes, yes. Servo motors are covered in several areas, but specifically with respect to mechatronics, even more so.
Okay, and I know this maybe not mechatronic, like street drives and inverters, because I know working at NUMMI, we used a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
then
and tying them into the PLCs.
That is an excellent suggestion. And so what I'll ask you to do, Tim, is if you would type that into the chat so that Nabil will have the topic lines that you're suggesting, and we will definitely enfold that into our future trainings in this area. I really appreciate your input on that. So Nabil, were you able to get the count of thumbs for mechatronics?
Looked like 11 to me.
Okay, all right. Next category, I have fiber optic and low voltage cable training. I'm a licensed C10, that's a full high voltage, low voltage electrical contractor. I retired from that. C7 are low voltage contractors. And I feel that we do enough training in this area of analog electronics, some digital electronics, some computers, networking in our discipline of ESYS that can tie together for students being able to set up being technicians that would be able to set up a low voltage wire plant in a commercial facility. And the low voltage wire plant would be specifically network wiring, would be fiber optic cable wiring, any type of sensor wiring, any type of other telecommunications wiring, and something that we'd like to see expanded in our field of electronics technology. And if that's something that you see a value in, can you give us a thumbs up on that? Nabil will give us a count.
Frank, I can attest to that a little bit. We're right now at the Alameda County pump stations. We're going through a complete SCADA system and PLC upgrade, and the ability for young technicians getting into the field to be able to effectively and efficiently route wires, run low voltage, I think is and understand that whole process would be a significant like you said, shingle on their resume, because it's a significant part of any integration or upgrade of new systems.
Well, you agree with that?
Fantastic.
Great for troubleshooting as well.
Yes, Tim, that's another point that I had written down too. We learn a lot of the concept and operation and how everything works, but actually applying these, new knowledge that we've acquired to actually troubleshooting with real life scenarios is what I've noticed with a lot of our new hires and in the industry is actually being able to apply and troubleshoot and solve problems and applying that knowledge. So I think maybe some more emphasis, if possible, with troubleshooting on the trainers and the new robotic arm on how to, when faults do arise, focus a little bit more on that. If, either expanding another class, maybe an advanced lab class. Because I know time is kind of tight when it comes to the semester courses. Trying to get everything in, you kind of have to limit that, but expanding would probably be a good idea, in my opinion.
Agree. Troubleshooting is one of the factors that we look at too, and when the training, and that it is missing.
Okay. Definitely hear three of our industry partners on that, Linda and Rick, and Linda, Tim, and Nick, with respect to the troubleshooting. One of the things that we do now on a less formal basis is when we have our students work together as teams in a project, and the project is conceived completely by the students, and we're talking about projects that integrate a number of different aspects of electronic systems. And these are not store-bought cookie cutter systems that, okay, I'm going to copy this one off the net. They have to present proposals to me for my review for authorizing. Yes, you and your team are authorized to do this project. You and your team are authorized to do this project. And the troubleshooting that has come about that has been valuable to our students is when they go to do these projects. And there's several projects that are on my video that some of you have had an opportunity to see, that they are not 100% done without a significant amount of troubleshooting. There are problems that arise. What do you do when the problems arise? And but I agree with you. Yes, more formal training with respect to troubleshooting systems would certainly add value to our program. And by hearing three of you be very vocal about that, certainly is significant for us to add into our curriculum. Would also, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, is there actually a course on how to troubleshoot? I mean, because I think that would be a valuable skill set that a lot of people, adults as well, don't have. And I mean, in this case, obviously electronic wise, right? I mean, be able to look at a schematic or a wiring diagram and understand, hey, problem A, needs me to go to this direction,
Yes.
and why that may or may not be true.
And to answer your question, Tim, yeah,
sorry?
and to answer your question, Tim, no, there is not presently one, but we can see that, with this much vocalization, that there certainly is a need for one. And I will look very, very closely at constructing something that would be appropriate. What we've done this semester, more than we've been able to do in previous semesters, is specifically in the motor control board systems from our friends at Amatrol. The motor control board systems have had 3 weeks dedicated to troubleshooting that we have not utilized the full 3 weeks in previous semesters, but we have been utilizing the full 3 weeks in this semester. So we've already gone through 2 full weeks of the troubleshooting, where to start at the end, start at the beginning, start in the middle, and you work your way out. So the mindset of how to break down the task at hand is part of these 3 weeks that we're engaged in now, week 3 coming up. But to have a whole semester on it, I think, in various systems of electronics would certainly be of value to all of our students. So I hear you loud and clear, and Nabil is taking great notes.
So Frank,
yes, please.
So Frank, I'm just guessing that you integrate troubleshooting probably in every single lab.
Yes, definitely.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, there just isn't a singular course that is dedicated to.
The reason I bring it up is there was a course solely dedicated to troubleshooting. It was Electronics 67, and there's the Electronics 67 was the course a number of years ago, but there's a kind of a restriction on a number of units that we can put into a program, and that was one of the courses that actually we said we'll try to spread out troubleshooting over all the courses. And so that's why in the learning outcomes for the courses, I would think that when we look at the course outlines, there's probably a mention or a outcome to the course of troubleshooting. But the point is very well taken, that for any person in a position, electronics tech sort of job, troubleshooting is integral to the success of that individual as well as the company that that person's working for. So I think your point is well taken. That troubleshooting is key to anyone who's going to be successful in this. But I just wanted you to know that there actually was a course, but because the college puts pressure on us to only have a certain allocation of hours to the program, that course actually probably went away. I think it was maybe 20 years ago.
I can ask this.
Could we bring it back? We certainly could, but that would be another discussion about how we want to allocate the hours that the college allocates to the program.
Here's a thought for Professor Ruiz. As Professor Ruiz and I worked on the present curriculum, a thought just came to mind, and that is, couldn't we have additional optional courses that are not required for the degree, and say, of the 21 units that are required for the degree, we can choose out of these 10, 15 different courses, whatever the students would like in order to add up to their 21. And this way we could have the range of courses that would give us a broader scope of achieving certificates of achievement as well as degree, and have more than 21 units of ESYS courses.
Sure, you can do that. It just boils down to the college allowing us the resource, the FTEF,
Okay.
the hours to teach the course. What I wanted to point out is that I expect that every course that we teach integrates troubleshooting in it.
It certainly does.
Because I just happened to be looking at a number of job applications for electronics technician, and they all mention troubleshooting skills as one of the ongoing needs for all technicians, all electronics, communications, engineering technicians. That's one of the key skills.
Sure. Well, rest assured. Yeah, rest assured that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Nick.
One of my thoughts was, would it be possible to integrate optional lab courses where, say, for instance, if it was on the Amatrol, the motor controllers or your robotic arms that that weren't conflicting with that class, that beginning introductory class being taught, and that trainer was sitting idle, to incorporate a lab advanced troubleshooting course where it was, the students were primarily left, to their own with minimal instruction, while you were teaching the other courses, with dictated troubleshooting labs. I think that if that's possible, something like that might be something to look at.
Yeah, well, look at that. There's a safety issue of having the instructor pulled in two directions at the same time in the same space. So that's part of the reason why the courses, the present course structure is set up was to address that particular concern. But certainly some aspect, even more than what we have in the troubleshooting in each of our courses is certainly something I will be looking at more closely. So I guarantee you that, and I really appreciate everybody chiming in and stressing the importance of this category of troubleshooting. Thank you. I want a shout out right now, a special shout out for two of our participants, Rick Kalish and Nick Tejero. Rick Kalish, formerly of ITT, is professional in the industry presently, also previously from Berkeley, and Nick Tejero of the Alameda County Public Works. Both of these gentlemen have brought in tons of donated equipment for our students to be able to use in all of our projects. So stuff that would normally have been thrown away, gone to refuse, gone to recycling from their companies that they have been working with, from projects that they have been working with that have been refreshed. So, okay, new equipment's coming in. What do we do with the old stuff? Well, it goes to the junker, goes to recycling. And so Rick and Nick independently contacted me over the past couple of weeks and said, hey, this stuff is going to go to the junk pile. Could your students make use of it? And I says, hey, does a chicken have lips? Sure. Yeah. So Nick and Tahero and Rick Kalish, thank you both very, very much for your kind efforts, generous donations from various companies' refuse. So one man's garbage is another man's treasures, and certainly treasures for our students to be able to work on the projects and have real world machinery in their hands. So thank you both, and wanted to do that shout out. Next on our list, and very important, we have two, is G, build internship relationships that are mutually beneficial to our students and industry. So Mones and Subish, you have, we have had this discussion, and I'm proud and very excited since last Thursday when we first chatted with each other that we have 2 engineering students coming in your direction and 4 electronic tech students coming in your direction. So we got 6 this past week, and I sent you all their names, and I think 2 or 3 have already applied in that process. So we're very, very excited to have this opportunity to get industry partners such as your firm. And for those of you who are with us that don't know Skyworks or don't know what they do, let me give both of you an opportunity to just encapsulate what your company does. Let me say that they are a $30 billion worldwide company. So I'll start there, and I'll give you gentlemen a few moments to introduce yourselves, please. So Subish or Mones, who would like to come on first?
I can go. Well, 30 billion in the last 2 weeks only. that's 30% more than we were last year. So thank you for inviting us. I really appreciate it. It's exciting. I've been for a while thinking about doing something like this. I didn't know how to approach it. So when Sabish contacted you and we got invited, I was really excited. Just quickly, the reason I was really looking forward to this, coming from what we call RF and wireless electronics communication. I talk to a lot of people I meet who go to college, and it kind of surprised me how it's a lesser known section of the industry. In my opinion, it's a great option. It pays very well. It's very stable, and it's really not that hard to learn. I talked to, I met a couple of guys, they did IT degrees and they're looking for jobs. And we've been trying to hire for 6 months and 8 months and years. It's very difficult to find these people. This is a really good option. I should kind of do my best to advertise it. So going back to Skyworks, like I mentioned, we're a technology company. We do, we design, build, and manufacture IC, RF chips and electronic chips that mostly goes in phones and tablets, laptops. We're one of the leaders in the industry. I think probably as far as market share, if not first, close second. I really don't know the numbers, but we're really, really good at this. We're one of the leaders in the technology. My role in Skyworks, I run a test team, so I operate a lab. Looks like we have a lot of similarities. I always sit in a lab and behind me oscilloscopes and spectrum analyzers. So I manage a test group here in Silicon Valley. Our design center in Silicon Valley is in San Jose. The headquarters, by the way, of Skyworks is in Irvine, California, and we have, if I'm not mistaken, 7 or 8 sites in the U.S., Canada, and North America, and like 10 others in Asia, something like that. So the design center in San Jose, I think we have close to 100 people, and I manage the lab and test and all related activities in the lab. In this site, we basically start from product definition based on the market trend, the technologies, whether it's 5G or the Wi-Fi, the latest technology, whatever it might be. We define it. We have the ability to build those devices. That's Sabish's lab. That's what he runs. And we also have the test and then verify the performance and provide the data for customers. Our customers are any phone makers you can think of. They will be one of our customers, all the way to production. So it's a full operation. It's really good work environment. And before I forget, I just add one more thing. Since I heard the items you guys discussed previously, and I was thinking it might be a good option that, so our lab has very advanced equipment, and in 4 or 5 years, we buy new ones because you have to chase whatever the latest. And I think they might that we can donate some of all the equipment to the college. I'm gonna be looking into that, so I'll follow up on that. I mean, that's probably not the forum to discuss this, but it just occurred to me. I'll follow up with you on that, and hopefully we can get something done. I'm excited about this. Adesh,
thank you, Monas, and thank you, Frank. Really appreciate the way we move so fast within 2 weeks.
Yes.
Now we are talking about partnering, getting internship students, and thanks, Monas. It occurred to my mind that we should definitely try to share some of the equipment that we don't know how to use it, because for us it might be obsolete, but for the students it's a value. Like very good starting point for them. So we can definitely consider doing something about it. That's good. And I also like to see the discussion we had recently about the troubleshooting. Like Professor Roy said, then troubleshooting is part of the job, right? When we need people test, validate things, but we need them to be able to troubleshoot their electronics. So it gives a little bit of more knowledge and training for them. So that's very good. And basically, we have multiple functions within the company. So there's kind of flexibility for anyone who is inside Skyworks, meaning he can be a design or a test technician or validation or characterization. So he can try to choose his the best fit, basically. So I'm in charge of the assembly lab. It's the kind of a prototyping, the module. So our Mexicali is our production site. And in my lab, I have almost one of each of the process equipment. So Mexicali might have hundreds of each process equipment. I have one from each process actually. So even Monas has got all the test equipment that he needs for validating the product, and it's pretty high end. And I'm from a mechatronics background, so I know how much value it adds for being mechanical as well as a little bit of electronics. That's really helpful for this industry. So I'm very excited to see all of you. It's very good discussion, and we look forward to have a great partnership moving. Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you.
Let me ask a question if I can. I see from your company website that in the engineering department, there's currently 110 jobs in engineering for Skyworks. How large is the operation in the Bay Area? In the Bay Area, I know you're different locations.
Sabish, can I go?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So the operation in the Bay Area, we have like a design center. I'll kind of give quite a bit of description how we operate. So we have a design center that can do the product from A to Z, let's say. Those products will probably be. Let me give you this number. So the BU that we work with, our Skyworks had $3 billion revenues last year, I think. Our design center, I think it did like 350 to 400 million revenues. So that gives you an idea of the share. Each site operates independently as far as what products they work on. So this is one portion of the work we do here. The second thing is in the Bay Area we have a pretty strong operation to support the customers, the local customers that we have here. And that's also part of the site here that operates in this site. We need to have a very strong presence. If you can guess it, the customers are very, very demanding that operate in the Bay Area, and we have to have a very active operation. So that's also part of the San Jose Design Center. A little bit of history. So the San Jose Design Center it combined 3 design centers that were in the Bay Area. We have one in Santa Rosa, we have one in Milpitas, it was in Santa Clara, I'm sorry, and one in Campbell. And we combined them, I think in 2014, when all of those sat in one site, which is what is now San Jose. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you're giving me an idea that it's an ongoing thing. So you not only do R&D, you do development, you support customers here also. So it's a wide range. It's a wide range of positions that occur on an ongoing basis.
Correct.
That's what I hear you saying.
And just to add to that, since you mentioned the job openings, of those, I think you mentioned the number 150 something.
110.
110.
Yeah, that's what you run right now, anyways.
Of those, I think we currently have, if I'm not mistaken, 12 to 15 in San Jose. So the growth is pretty strong on the site.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good questions, and again, thank you, Mones, and thank you, Subish, for offering your company offering of internship opportunities for our students, and that would be beneficial not only to our engineering students, but also to our electronics technology students. And we look forward to this being a symbiotic relationship that can expand and, of course, be beneficial to both your company and our college as well. So thank you very much for that opportunity. Fantastic. What I'd also like to do is there is a couple more items. Item H, and that is build regional joint venture projects with other colleges. That we are not alone in this one area, and specifically in that area of electromotors and electromechanical mechatronics type thing. It's hard for any one college to be able to have the significant funding to be able to go forth and promote a large new program or expand an existing program to encompass what's needed in terms of hardware in this area. However, with respect to a different funding source, regional joint venture projects are something that can be promoted, can be proposed and then promoted for authorization and approval that would allow us to combine our efforts, say, with Laney College in Oakland, of which I'm also a faculty member, of combining with Contra Costa College, who also does the Fanuc Robot Arm, to build an even larger base of what I'd like to see, robotics and mechatronics training. So this is something that is new that I'd like to pursue that goes beyond Chabot College, that opens up another avenue of funding that would allow us to do something really significant above and beyond the local budget of what each of the colleges are constrained with. So this would be called regional joint venture projects, and something that I'd like to launch during the course of this year to reach out with, in partnership with our friends at Laney, partnership with our friends at Contra Costa College. If this is something that you can see value of as a larger learning opportunity, where we can pool our funding resources and build something that's really large and significant, pardon me, I'd like to see thumbs up in this area if you see value to this. So Nabil will be taking the count of thumbs for our regional joint venture project.
Where's my reaction? There you go.
Okay, looks like I'm counting 9.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. All right, and then next on our agenda, and we're just about done, I would really like to shout out to some individuals that have taken our classes gone through some aspect of our program, and glean from them what it is that they have seen that has brought value to their careers. I'd like to start with Michael Varoya. Michael, are you there?
I'm here.
Fantastic. Let me introduce you. Michael Varoya works for Mettler Toledo Rainin Limited LCC, and he is the Senior Automation Manufacturing Engineering Technician. And so, Michael, if you could take a couple moments and share with us what has been significant highlights of what you've learned here that has helped your career and advancement to where you are at.
Yes, Chabot Electronic System Technology really provides the students and other professionals to have a better understanding of electronic components or system. By taking ESYS class, it just gave me a bigger opportunity to advance into my career. I've been working for Mettler Toledo for about 3 years now, and I have been promoted 3 times. Started as a automation technician 2 to senior automation technician, and now I'm a senior manufacturing engineering tech. And that doesn't stop there. My task right now is pretty much heavy engineering tasks, which I design and build, and I program automation equipment from scratch, and I'm using TIA Portal for PLC programming. And when I took the PLC class in Chabot, it really broadens up, my knowledge of the ladder logic and some of the troubleshooting that the class already taught us before. So that is a big how do I say it?
It was significant to your career, yeah?
Yes, it's very significant to my career. And also not just that, it gives me opportunity to travel all around the world. I've been to China, just because it just gives me, by taking the class, it gives you all kinds of possibilities that you can think of. It's just in terms of electronics, and the class is amazing. I think more students or more professionals need to take the class, so at least they can have the basic knowledge of electronics. It's a pretty much a stepping stone to better your career.
Fantastic. Thank you for your input, Michael. It's good feedback to know that some of the things that we're doing have been assistive to advancing our students' careers. Now, Tim, you work at Lawrence Livermore Labs.
Yes.
Anything that you'd like to chime in and add of what has provided value to you in your career here?
From Chabot, yes. So for me, I was more of an electrical guy when I got out of the military, and coming to Chabot, I was taking some of the beginning using electronic equipment such as like oscilloscopes and those kind of things. That's been really good. Actually learning. I knew how to solder, but additional training is definitely beneficial as well. And seeing how it all works. I know I'd like to get a greater point of emphasis on that, considering that's what I do a lot right now. And you may have this already, and I haven't looked at it, but I know we use like waveform generators and those kind of devices. I'd like to see more of that. I haven't had the opportunity to use PLCs here at the lab, but I know they do have PLC as well. I'm just starting my electronic career after being mainly electrical, higher voltage. So, and my plan is to continue on using taking more Chabot courses to make myself better.
Fantastic, Tim. Thank you very much for your feedback. Nick? Tehero, anything you'd like to add from Alameda County Public Works as you work in the water control department? Yes?
Yeah, we manage all of the stormwater lift stations on the western side of Alameda County. We keep Oakland, San Leandro, San Lorenzo, Union City from flooding. So we have roughly 26 different pump stations scattered throughout the county. And you know, one of the biggest thing for me was the practical application on the trainers with current up-to-date technology components to where we could, you know, applying what we were learning in the textbooks to hands-on, you know, problems and hands-on labs. I'm a tactile learner. I'm a visual learner. And, you know, I can read as much in a textbook as I want, but without the physical application, that really cemented the principles that I was learning, you know, and being able to transfer those into the field. That's what I find, you know, a lot is with us in our station. We're integrating 21st century PLC controls with, you know, 1950s, 60s, 70s technology, mechanical equipment, and being able to incorporate that and, you know, utilize the training that I've learned. You know, oh, I saw that in class. I know exactly what, you know, where to look when it comes to troubleshooting, and makes everything, you know, not so full when you get out into the field and you're looking at a MCC and it's a cluster of wires, and, you know, you can pick out the components that you saw in the class. I think that was very valuable.
Yeah, and to pick up on that point about the trainers, I can come back around to our friends at Skyworks as Moniz had kind of alluded to, as a possibility of when they refresh their equipment with more up-to-date equipment, the other equipment that becomes less often used, that if that at some point in time can be made available as a trainer, then students on our site would have an opportunity to work on your older equipment, Skyworks, that would be a good segue to introduce them to the world of what internship with your company has to offer. So that's comes back around what Nick had suggested about trainers, so that the older equipment can be used very effectively as trainers for our students. I'd like to also give Jason an opportunity to chime in. Jason works locally with Gillig and is in charge of his particular area. What have you found in the ESYS program that has been significant in helping advance your career?
Oh, hello, I'm Jason, lead maintenance technician at Gillig LLC. If you're not familiar, you've probably seen our buses driving all over the United States. If you ride the bus, I'm sure you've ridden our buses. And I found in the ESYS program, I really started taking ESYS because I wanted to learn about PLCs as we built a new facility, and the whole facility went digital from an analog world, considering the company is 100 years old. Much of the equipment was 60 to 80 years old. Some of the stuff was just old. And one of the benefits is working with the PLC trainers, being able to look at a PLC and really understand what it's doing in there has really given me a leg up on quickly troubleshooting majority of our equipment plant-wide. Some of the stuff I think you could add to that course that I see a lot between the technicians, is I know those PLC trainers have the as-built binders with your wire schematics, all your terminal strips and whatnot, to make some labs, kind of letting the students crack those binders open to find the solution to a problem in the lab. You know, say you have a photo eye or proximity sensor went out. Simple as being a loose wire to shut an entire production line down, and I've seen it many times. You know, shut entire body shop systems down. Just recently, this last week, was a burned out proximity sensor. So being able to take that skill, look into a, more or less 4x8 electrical cabinet and trace that wire out, put a little bit of emphasis on that, because they are going to see that a lot in the field. Also, one of the more challenging classes I've taken at ESYS was your 58, and maybe Skyworks would have some input on maybe some updating to the wireless technologies class. I think we talked a little bit about this last year, of integrating some ham radio into that class, because it's very physical way to understand radio wavelengths and how you can interpret them. So I just would like to reiterate that from last year, because I do like my wireless technology as well.
Fantastic.
But I think that'll be it.
Fantastic.
That will be it.
Well, thank you, Jason, for your input. And Jason is also our local Hayward luthier. He is creative from another aspect in that he manufactures ukuleles, and he also manufactures guitars. And at some point in time, his dream is to move on and build violins. So multi-talented individual. Look at this machine. Wow. Is that mine? Jason, is that one mine?
No, this is actually the first ukulele I ever built for my wife. I can run down to the shop and grab yours and find out.
That's okay. I know you're working on it. I've got serial number 8. He's built beyond number 8. He's built other ones, but I had him reserve serial number 8 for me, because in the Chinese community, 8 is just one of those fabulous lucky numbers. So that's coming. But I wanted to give you a shout out at that you were talented.
It's a special one. Special one's a little bit more of a challenge there.
Yes, so I'm very, very patient waiting. Oh, look, now look at this man, Noli, Professor Ruiz. Look at this. What a beautiful ukulele that is. So yes, we have some musicians here. I have Ukulele Tuesdays, and we do that on Zoom, and it's wonderful therapy. So for any of you who, for the noon hour on Tuesday, want to get some therapy, get away, mind away from all of this, I welcome you to join that. Well, anyway, I respect your time. We're 2 minutes from closing at 7:30. Oh, look at this guitar. No, Professor Ruiz is just in his element. Anyway, thank you all so very, very much for your valued input. I look forward to taking all this information and feedback that you've all delivered to us in this past hour and a half that we've been together, and implementing your suggestions in as many ways, shapes, and forms as I can to build this ESYS program so that it'll be even better as we move forward in these next 12 months. Are there any closing comments, questions? I see Rick with his hand raised. Rick, please.
Not necessarily electronics, but something that I spent some time with in my career is working on standards organizations. I was instrumental in USB standards and things like that. And without students knowing where this stuff comes from, it's a fascinating sidebar of electronics. Obviously, it wouldn't be a whole class, but it should be something that is introduced at a high level, because standards, nuts and bolts and screws, and how long a foot is, and how lab equipment gets certified and standardized and calibrated. All of that stuff directly affects all the engineers and everything. Networking standards, all this stuff. I found it interesting. You get to travel all around. You get to work with other companies, engineers from other companies. Sometimes it's a little tedious, an hour argument over should or shall in a standards, but interesting stuff.
Fantastic. I will definitely follow up on that topic with you as the days and weeks are coming by. Anybody else would like to have a closing comment to share with us before we close this meeting?
Can I beat a dead horse?
Please beat a dead horse.
Okay, so to reiterate the whole troubleshooting thing, I think should be an accredited course when I first hired at NUMI in 2001, I had one of my group leaders at the time specifically tell me that our final line, that when the truck rolls off, any minute that was shut down is $10,000 worth of profit. If you want to know the value of troubleshooting, you got to keep the final line running and you got to make it happen. So, I mean, and people who can troubleshoot quicker and have the knowledge on how to are that much more valuable to their company in whatever field it is.
Well, I will definitely reiterate that $10,000 a minute loss for every minute that the system is down. That's significant, and none of us ever want to be that one person that's responsible for even one of those minutes on the production line. So yeah, all of your comments with respect to troubleshooting are coming in loud and clear, and I value all your comments and feedback on that. Any other comments anybody would like to make?
Yeah, Tim, it's a point well taken. Troubleshooting is a critical skill. Maybe we should talk about how to further incorporate that into the courses, or to come back and create an explicit course just for that. Okay, something to talk about.
Yes.
You know, it's not something that's easy to get approved, though. That's the thing to be aware of.
I understand that.
Okay.
All right.
We will certainly have substance to work together with. Any other comments? All right, no more comments. Again, I thank you all so very much for your time. We highly value your input. It's all been recorded in Zoom, and the minutes, and Nabil is taking care of all of that, and will be fed into our system that will enhance our program in so many different ways. And I look forward to our discussions in the days and weeks to come for our various aspects of how we're engaged with each other. And I certainly hope that by this same time next year, we will have even more exciting things to talk about. So with that, I thank you so very, very much for your time again. And I bid you all have a lovely evening. I've got a class that starts, oops, it's supposed to have started 2 minutes ago. Sorry. Anyway, thank you. Take care. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Peace. Bless you all.